The air was thick with the sharp sting of smoke as I stepped out of my car, clutching a stack of freshly printed evacuation plans. Wildfire season had hit hard and early this year, and the haze blanketing our neighborhood grew heavier by the hour. Just over the ridge, less than 15 miles away, the Silver Creek fire was raging, swallowing over 8,000 acres and showing no signs of slowing down. As a retired emergency response coordinator, I knew time was slipping away. That's why I'd spent the last 3 weeks pouring my heart into a detailed evacuation plan for our semi-rural community, complete with escape routes, emergency contacts, and a checklist to keep everyone prepared. I just picked up the final copies from the print shop, ready to hand them out to every home in Willow Creek Estates before the weekend. But as I walked up my driveway, something stopped me cold. A bright pink slip of paper was taped to my front door, flapping in the smoky breeze. My stomach twisted as I read the bold, official-looking letterhead. Saw Willow Creek Estates Homeowners Association violation notice. I ripped it off, my eyes scanning the words with growing disbelief. Saw unauthorized modifications to property exterior. Removal of decorative fencing required within 48 hours. I glanced at the small garden I'd recently redone with fire-resistant native plants, bordered by simple stones. There was no fence. There never been a fence. What made it even stranger, as far as I knew, our neighborhood didn't have an HOA. When I bought this house 3 years ago, the lack of one was a selling point. After 15 years dealing with red tape in emergency services, I was done with petty bureaucracy. I tossed the evacuation plans onto my kitchen counter and studied the notice closer. The website listed didn't work, the phone number went straight to voicemail, and it was signed by someone named Richard Hensley, Community Standards Board President. The whole thing felt wrong. The paper was cheap, the logo blurry, like it was slapped together on someone's laptop. Still, it rattled me. I'd moved to Willow Creek for peace, for community, not for some weird neighborhood drama, especially with a wildfire breathing down our necks. In my 23 years as an emergency coordinator, I'd seen how fast disasters could tear through unprepared communities. When I retired and settled into this quiet neighborhood nestled against the foothills, I swore I'd still use my skills to keep people safe. Willow Creek was a sitting duck for wildfire, surrounded by dry brush on 3 sides, with only 2 roads in or out. Most of my neighbors were families or retirees, drawn here for the VYUs and low prices, unaware of the risks. So when the Silver Creek fire sparked just a ridge away, I got to work. I started knocking on doors, sharing safety tips, introducing myself. Most folks were grateful. Sarah, a single mom across the street, nearly cried when I showed her my draft evacuation maps. I've been terrified, she admitted, her 2 kids playing nearby. My brother lost everything in a fire last year. They had 15 minutes to get out. Just grab the kids and some photos, everything else gone. Her voice shook. I promised her extra copies for her elderly parents a few blocks away, noting their mobility issues. Then there was the older couple, George and Evelyn Carter, who'd lived here for 30 years. Over tea in their photo-filled living room, Evelyn confessed, "Last year's highway fire made me wonder if we could get out fast enough. My arthritis isn't what it used to be." I jotted down their needs, tailoring the plan for seniors. The Nguyen family next door was all in too. Dr. Nguyen, a pediatrician, got the urgency right away. "We drill for emergencies at the hospital," she said, "but at home? We've never even talked about where we'd meet if we got separated." Her husband, a weather buff, showed me his gear, pointing out dropping humidity and weird wind patterns perfect fire fuel. Even the new couple, Ethan and Lucas, admitted they were clueless about wildfires, coming from the Midwest where tornadoes were the worry. They jumped at my suggestions for fire-resistant landscaping, swapping out flammable mulch for rocks. Not everyone was so welcoming. I'll never forget the cold shoulder I got at the big corner house with the perfect lawn, Richard Hensley's place. It stood out in our modest neighborhood, all stonework and manicured hedges. When I knocked, he barely cracked the door, sneering at my fire safety handouts. "We have community standards to maintain," he said, eyeing my jeans like I'd offended him. "Any initiatives need proper approval." I tried to stress the fire's danger, but he cut me off. Submit a proposal to the right channels. The door slammed shut. 3 other houses, owned by Richard's cronies, gave me the same brush-off. One woman told me Richard handles all safety matters. A retired banker named Walter lectured me about established hierarchies. I shrugged it off, then every neighborhood has its jerks. But now, staring at this fake violation notice with Richard's name on it, those moments felt darker. The next morning, I pushed forward with handing out the evacuation plans. The fire had grown overnight, now only 30 fan tram contained. As I went house to house, I saw more pink notices on doors. Sarah was outside, soothing her crying daughter, holding her own notice. "They say my kid's swing set is unapproved," she said, voice tight. "It's been up 2 years, and now they want it gone, or I'll get fined." "What HOA? I never signed anything when I bought this place." The Carters got hit for their bird feeders. Others were cited for mailboxes or unauthorized plants. Everyone was confused. No one remembered voting for an HOA, paying dues, or getting any official word about one. Yet the notices screamed authority, threatening fines for noncompliance. Despite the weirdness, I stayed focused. The smoke was thicker now, ash falling like snow. This wasn't the time for petty fights over swing sets. After distributing the last plans, I posted in our neighborhood's social media group, inviting everyone to a fire safety workshop in my driveway the next evening. 15 families RSVP'd, and nearly 20 showed up. I walked them through the evacuation routes, showed them how to pack go bags, and shared tips for fireproofing homes. A local firefighter even stopped by with extra advice. Evelyn Carter hugged me, whispering, "Thank you for caring. It feels good to have a plan." It was the community I dreamed of when I moved here, neighbors pulling together. So you can imagine my shock when I found another violation notice on my door the next morning. This one was fancier, with a gold embossed seal. Saw serious violation. Unauthorized community gathering and dissemination of unapproved emergency protocols. Cease immediately. Fine, due lot 250. So I read it twice, my blood boiling. Someone was faking authority and trying to stop us from preparing for a wildfire, now just 12 miles away. This wasn't just annoying, it was dangerous. If people were scared off by these fake fines, lives could be at stake. I had to figure out who was behind this so-called HOA, and fast. I snapped photos of every notice I'd seen and started digging. Calls to the county recorder's office, the state business registry, and my real estate attorney friend confirmed my suspicions. No HOA was registered for Willow Creek. No incorporation papers, no tax ID, nothing. My attorney was blunt. Someone's playing pretend government. That's a legal fraud if they're taking money, misrepresentation if they're claiming authority. Armed with this, I marched to Richard Hensley's house. He was in his yard, measuring his hedge like it was the most important thing in the world. "Here, to fix your violations," he smirked, straightening up like he was in charge. I kept my cool, channeling years of crisis negotiation. "I've researched your HOA, Richard. There's no legal record of it. Show me the bylaws, the board election records, or anything pro-VYing. I joined this group." His face went red, like he might pop a vein. "The paperwork's in process," he stammered. "The board's authority comes from an implied neighborhood covenant." It was pure nonsense rehearsed, legal-sounding gibberish. I'd dealt with enough liars to spot the pattern. Vague promises of documents that never materialize. I held up his latest notice. "This is fake, and it's interfering with emergency prep during a wildfire. That's not just wrong, it's dangerous." He tried to intimidate me, stepping closer. "The board doesn't like uncooperative residents. Maybe you should have researched this neighborhood before MOVYing here. We value conformity." The irony was Rish was accusing me of not doing my homework when I just exposed a scam. I didn't budge. "I value safety and honesty, Richard. That fire's getting closer, and you're scaring people with fake fines. Stop now, or I'm taking this to the authorities." He stormed off, muttering about our attorney, but his shaky voice gave him away. There was no attorney, just like there was no HOA. Talking to neighbors, I learned Richard and 4 others had formed a clique soon after I moved in. It started as a neighborhood watch fine, useful even, but it morphed into something uglier, Guidelines, emails, reminders about aesthetics, and now these violation notices. Most folks assumed they had some authority, especially newcomers. I collected ecopies of notices, emails, stories of neighbors bullied into removing play equipment or paying fake fines. Meanwhile, the fire kept growing, the sky turning an eerie orange-gray. Voluntary evacuations started nearby. My old emergency management instincts kicked in. I tracked the fire's spread on my radio, knowing how fast it could turn deadly. Richard's group was even citing people for fire safety saw changes, like telling the Petersons to replant flammable bushes or fining the Torres family for their fire-resistant roof. It was beyond absurd. It was reckless. I filed a complaint with the county's Consumer Protection Division, sending all my denke. The official, Brenda, was alarmed. We've seen fake HOAs, but never during an emergency. This is serious. I also called Sophia Chun, a local reporter who'd covered similar scams. She was hooked, especially with the fire angle. This needs to be public, she said. Got documentation? Neighbors willing to talk? I had it all, including proof some had paid fake fines. Then I emailed every neighbor I could reach, laying out the truth. No HOA existed, their notices were invalid, and fire safety trumped everything. I attached county records, state laws, and fire codes vying no one could stop us from preparing. Ignore those fake violations, I wrote. Keep making your homes fire safe. Lives matter more than lawn height. I announced another safety workshop, hesitating only a moment before hitting send. With the fire's glow now Cybele at night, there was no time for games. The response was electric. Neighbors flooded me with support, sharing their own stories of Richard's intimidation. Sarah reported paying $500 in fake fines. The Carters were furious newer residents had been duped. That evening, Sophia's news story aired, exposing the scam. The county called, worried about anything slowing down fire prep. Richard's group tried damage control, claiming it was just a voluntary beautification committee, but their own notices betrayed them. No one bought it. The next night, the county sent Richard and his cronies a cease and desist letter, warning of fraud charges. We held a real community meeting in the park, 40 of us under an ash-filled sky, the fire's red glow looming. Neighbors brought chairs, masks, water, everyone pitching in. I got a call just before. The fire had jumped the containment line. If winds shifted, we'd be evacuating by morning. Standing on a chair, I held up the county's letter. There's no HOA. Those notices are fake. Any fines you paid were fraud, and you can prep your homes without fear. The crowd murmured approval, faces showing relief and resolve. Then Richard stormed in, vying another notice, yelling about unauthorized gatherings. The crowd laughed sharp, incredulous laughs that stopped him cold. I stepped toward him, plan in hand. The county's warned you about fraud, Richard. This fire's 8 miles away, and you're still playing dictator. Here's the evacuation plan EU'd by the county, featured on their website. Join us, or face the consequences. For a second, I thought he'd take it. Instead, he crumpled his notice, threw it down, and ranted about property values and swing sets before storming off, his allies slinking away. Neighbors tore up their notices, clapping, hugging, united. 3 days later, the evacuation warning came. Our plan worked like clockwork, no chaos, just neighbors helping neighbors. The Alvarez family's van carried those without cars. George Carter hauled heirlooms in his truck. I stayed till the end, checking homes with a retired firefighter. Vying out. I passed Richard's house unprepared, Vince uncovered, him frantically tossing stuff in his car. I almost stopped, but my caravan needed me. As we left Willow Creek, I realized we'd built something real. Not Richard's fake control, but a community that protected each other when it counted. Now, I want to hear from you. Was I right to confront Richard publicly, or should I have handled it quietly to avoid drama? Should neighbors who paid fake fines sue, even if it escalates tensions? And what would you do if someone tried to control your neighborhood like this during a crisis? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story got your blood pumping, and subscribe for more real-life drama. Let's keep this conversation going.